This instructional video describes the item analysis in relation to the evaluation of a measuring instrument, which is developed and evaluated according to classical test theory. After the operationalization has been established in the planning phase of test development, such as the target group, test construction principle, item contents, measurement breadth, response format, test time, and so on, the formulation or development of the test items or questions follows. Subsequently, the items are presented to a sufficiently large sample of the scope. Then, the so-called item analysis is typically conducted. For each item, for example in a performance test, the following information is available, among others. Was the respective item answered correctly, answered incorrectly, omitted, skipped, or left unanswered at the end? It is significant here that there are various forms of test development with different configurations of item compositions, or that the test time is not yet too tightly scheduled, so that a sufficiently large portion of the sample within the scope has enough time to work on almost all tasks. Otherwise, the items positioned at the end of a testing procedure would lack processing information. The raw score allows for the distribution analysis of the characteristic in the sample of the scope. The information that is significant here includes, among other things, the variation of the characteristic and the shape of the distribution. In general, traits and constructs measured in psychology are approximated in the population of a normal distribution. The objective is thus the development of a test procedure that exhibits the highest possible differentiation ability within its scope. It would therefore be optimal if a raw score distribution were present that is normally distributed and could assign measurement values 3 standard deviations in both directions from the mean. Skewed distributions, such as floor or ceiling effects, generally lead to low measurement accuracy and hinder differentiation ability, thus affecting practical usefulness. If skewed distributions are observed in the distribution analysis, the reasons can be multifaceted, such as inappropriate frequency of easy or difficult items, incompatibility between item contents and the scope, suboptimal test time that has not yet been evaluated, and an insufficient number of items. This often happens, for example, when a short test time is targeted during the test development process. Following the distribution analysis, the determination of the so-called item parameters usually takes place. Here, item difficulty and item discrimination are typically assessed. Item difficulty, or solution probability, indicates how often, for example, a performance test item has been answered correctly within its scope. The item discrimination ability provides a statement regarding how well an item helps to differentiate between different characteristics or to position a characteristic on the property continuum. Please refer to the in-depth self-learning videos for more information. Following an item analysis, items are selected, sorted, grouped, modified, and/or the order of the items is changed, resulting in a new test draft. Thus, a further application of the items is carried out on a larger sample of the scope, followed by a subsequent item analysis. Overall, several iterations can take place here until a useful item pool for the measuring instrument is available, which allows for an adequate variation of characteristics to be measurable with approximately normally distributed raw scores. The results of the item analysis are used to compile a useful number of items to include in the final test. Thus, the items can be sorted in ascending order of difficulty after the evaluation to comply with the test construction principle of a speed power or power test. The items can be compiled into various test forms and ideally into parallel test versions if they are extensive and efficient in measurement breadth and usefulness, and evaluated accordingly. Please note that the method of item analysis generally leads to a homogenization of the items, which typically results in a higher internal consistency, thus leading to a higher test reliability. In the context of item analysis, it is therefore essential to also consider validity so that variables for validation are collected during the data collection process. These can be variables or scales that allow statements about convergent, predictive, or differential validity. Thank you very much for listening. One last important thing. I personally formulated the texts. No part of the text was generated by artificial intelligence or smoothed by AI. For use, reproduction, and embedding, written permission from me is required. You can find the contact email in the video. Thank you for your understanding.